At this time, we want to show some appreciation, and I know some of you probably are here just kind of for this, but we want to show some appreciation to Mrs. Cheney. She, at the beginning of this year, she, I don't want to say you stopped teaching, because you're always teaching, but she stopped teaching Sabbath school. And Mrs. Cheney, to stop teaching Sabbath school, you have to think back a long time of when she started. And it was over 70 years ago. And we want to show appreciation for Mrs. Cheney. So to start with at this time, Amy's going to read a poem.
This is a little poem about Sabbath school teachers. And it goes, "Blessed are the Sabbath school teachers who tell the children the truth about Jesus, for they will be called the teachers of God. Blessed are the Sabbath school teachers who love and hug the children, for they will be embraced by God's glory. Blessed are the Sabbath school teachers who endure the talkative children and the ear-piercing screams of little girls, for they will hear God's joyful laughter among them. Blessed are the Sabbath school teachers who behave and play like the children around them, for they will receive youthful vigor for the next 10 to 15 minutes. Blessed are the Sabbath school teachers who listen to the children's concerns, for God will reveal His heart to them. Blessed are the Sabbath school teachers who teach the children to pray, for they will experience God's power through answered prayer. Blessed are the Sabbath school teachers who lead one of the children to saving grace through Jesus Christ, for they will have treasure in heaven. Blessed are the Sabbath school teachers who call on God for wisdom in teaching His word, for the Holy Spirit will speak the truth in love through them." And we thank you for being a wonderful Sabbath school teacher for so many years.
It's been a pleasure.
Well,
I love doing it.
I know you have, and it's shown loud and clear through all the things that you've done. We really appreciate that.
And I have to say, you know, Mrs. Cheney, the thing was kind of like the Beatitudes, blessed, but there's many of us who have been taught by Mrs. Cheney, and we have been blessed by what she has done. Many people, Virginia?
She also is a pathfinder for my kids.
She was many things. She just wasn't a Sabbath school teacher. I think in my conversation, she taught Sabbath school, pathfinders, did some teaching in school. Pretty much where she was needed is what she did. And to commemorate this, we had a plaque made, Mrs. Cheney. And it's very similar to the one with your husband, and we're going to put it out by your husbands, out front. And it reads, "In recognition and appreciation for her faithful and loving service for over 70 years as the primary division Sabbath school teacher for many SDA churches, Thelma has enhanced her classroom with her artistic and creative abilities in Vermont, Pennsylvania, California, Maine, and Canada. She spread her love and joy of Sabbath school to children all over, as you can see. And just for me, Mrs. Cheney, I started when teaching. I was teaching up here, obviously, today. But when I started, it was downstairs in Mrs. Cheney's room. She would do the first part of the Sabbath school, and I would teach the lesson. And I followed, I guess, somewhat in your footsteps, and did that for about 18, 19 years straight after that. The kids got older, but so that started me out in that direction, and we really appreciate that. We also have a card for you, and we really appreciate it and thank you from everyone here in the church. Thank you.
And I want to show her the cake before it's being cut. We do have dessert for you. We have cake and ice cream and cookies. So let me get the cake for her. Retiree from teaching Sabbath school for many years, as you all know, over 70 years. And
School,
yes, in school. We're never going to compete with these kids.
Pathfinders. It's so noisy. Guess who? It's little girl. My girls all know what they say.
And can you imagine, in all those years, how many children's lives
Right.
she has influenced for the Lord, teaching
Right.
Sabbath school all that time in several states. Wherever her husband was pastor, she would teach Sabbath school. And actually, she and her husband were here in the Rutland district twice. And the first time in the original church on Center Street, where it was his first pastorate, and he had just been ordained. They were there first, and she taught Sabbath school. And then, years later, they came back here in another term here, and then they decided to retire to Rutland. And we're very happy that they decided to retire in Rutland. In all these years that she has taught, Rutland District has been the most years that she has taught in Sabbath school. So, and I know we've got friends here from Bennington. We're very happy, some from Williston, some from Bennington, that know her and knew her, and we're happy that you came. And, you know, Thelma started out, I think David mentioned, as a teenager. And it was when she was in Canada with her mother, and the conference president's wife there in Ontario Conference saw the potential in Thelma, and she is actually the one who got her started in teaching Sabbath school. And she's been doing it ever since, and using all her artistic talents to go with it, as well as camp meeting and pathfinders and
I went to college and got a bachelor's degree in elementary education. I taught school too,
yes,
all over the place.
she went to AUC and got a degree in elementary ed and taught.
I went way out to British Columbia, my first place I taught. And then I went to Fresno, California.
Can you hear her?
Yeah.
I've been all over.
Well, you know, there are several here who have had you even for a teacher
Yep.
over the years in Sabbath school and just as friends. And we're going to ask them, invite whoever would like to come. But please come up here so that she can hear everything that you say. Who would like to come and share a memory of Thelma? I know some do. Virginia's coming.
myself off. Told you. I remember when we first started church, I had most of my children with me. And we went to your house and we used to make some wreaths, some wreaths for Christmas wreaths, and then we went on sing outs with Pastor. We had down the street, we went there tagging, and we had a lot of fun. My kids, I guess, took care of your kids sometimes, believe it or not.
Thank you, Virginia.
I'll read this. This is from Alyssa, my granddaughter Alyssa. You were her teacher at one time, and I gotta get my glasses.
I laughed today when you were at the pulpit. You said something. Oh, it was Leigh Adams. Yeah, it was Leigh Adams. He said something about, he took his glasses off and he said, I see.
She says we're embarrassing her.
Apparently he doesn't see with them
But
on.
I think it's okay, and I
But yeah, I can't wear my glasses to read either.
This is
I
from
couldn't see the
Alyssa.
light.
She emailed me this the other day. She said, my memories of Sabbath school with Mrs. Cheney are filled with light and fondness. I remember being made to feel special every lesson, whether by choosing my favorite musical Plastic Bird when we sang, or when she opened the birthday drawer and let us choose a special gift for our birthday. I remember the incredible artwork that decorated the room, so beautiful and real. I will never forget the crafts, songs, and especially novel stories. She would tell them with such detail and energy that each character would take on a life all their own in the small classroom. and each of us would be riveted to our chairs, even when I didn't tie the sash of my dress to my chair.
Oh, thank you. That was beautiful. That's Sue's granddaughter, Alyssa, who was in college down south. Oh, that was very sweet.
I made about the Jonah and the whale. I made a whale out of a sleeping bag.
Yep.
I put the wings on it and everything. And they showed, they were in a boat with the chairs around, and they threw Jonah over and got on the whale.
Remember Aaron?
Yes.
Now, I didn't really appreciate it when I was a little kid, but now that I've gotten older, I really do appreciate how much work you put into every single Sabbath school lesson. I remember every day we'd have a new story or a new craft. I remember so many arts and crafts that you would make that were so creative. We'd have such a blast putting them together. And all the beautiful artwork that I remember Alyssa mentioned, the beautiful backdrops, it must have been so much work. I can't thank you enough for how much time you put into making each Sabbath a really special day.
I loved you too.
Thank you.
I've got to say how much I appreciate Thelma for all she's done for the different schools. One school was Forest Ward School where I taught for a number of years, and she took back when she and her husband were pastors and Pastor Helper for our church. She took an old spool that someone, they had been cables or whatever. She took this big wood spool and she made a round tabletop to put on. And she gave it to the school down in Bennington, and that table is still in use. It stands a memorial of someone's caring all these years and has been used all those years. And I think that was probably back in 1990, I think.
Yeah, 25 years.
Yeah, so it's still standing sturdy and doing its service. And we have in the primary room, we have a mural. And that is still, decorating that Sabbath school room.
It fills the whole wall.
Fills the whole wall.
Yeah.
And so many years she's come and she's helped on William Miller Day. And she, as she was saying to me, and I remember it, when she first started doing a Sabbath school class, there was no place to meet, and she would do it just right outside by a picnic table. And she'd have kids gathered around, and she would be doing stories. And she's done it. It's only been, 2 years now, 1 year? She the barn was unsafe for her to walk on. It was too unlevel. We were afraid that she might trip and fall. But we appreciate all those years when she's been of service to the William Miller Home also. Touched many lives, many children's lives. And they always enjoyed her Sabbath school.
We used to sit on bales of hay.
Yes.
That's right.
So we appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. Here comes Karen.
So my family goes to Williston Church, so we were never members here, but my dad would come preach, and it was the highlight I just wanted to get here for Sabbath school, to see Mrs. Chene's Sabbath school, and see how it changed from quarter to quarter, and it was always fun. And then when she would come and get sweet corn with her husband from our farm, she always brought us a treat. And it was twisted bread, and I loved that bread. And she'd bring us, my brother and I, a book to read too. So it was very special.
Thank you. I love the corn.
So, here we go.
I remember teaching you a long time ago. The old church.
Yes.
We went up this upstairs.
60 years ago. Up the stairs, those rickety small stairs. And oftentimes we didn't have a piano player, but you had all kinds of different musical instruments that you would have us do. And in the songs that we sang then, we still use today. It's amazing,
And you're still Mrs. Cheney. I've never called you Thelma. You're still Mrs. Cheney. And then the first time, because I started going to church with my grandmother. I was only 5 or 6. I wasn't very old. And then the first time I went to your house, you had, I don't know if it was, I thought it was in the fall, a harvest party, and you had all the kids there, and everything was so organized that, you had a room that we were doing crafts of one sort, and then another room of games, and everything. I don't know if you remember that, but I do. And so then when you came back, I hadn't heard from you for years. Then you came back, and you taught some of my grandchildren. It's amazing how time goes. And she gave me a picture a few years ago that she had, and it was a song, "You Are My Sunshine." Remember, you have the sunshine around your face? And she gave me the picture of that, and I have a picture of one of my granddaughters with that type of sunshine around their face.
Well, I've known Miss Thelma forever. We go back a long, long time. And I've spent a lot of time down here with my grandchildren helping, Thelma's at worst sing the songs and all this stuff. I went through Gavin, went through Peyton, went through Sylvan and Ashley, I think when they were smaller, but more Gavin and Peyton actually. We've spent a lot of time downstairs with them. And years ago, back when I was probably 15 or 16, your husband used to pick me up when he was going to Bennington, and I was at that time interested in a young girl down there by the name of Audrey Charleston. And so he used to pick me up. We'd drive all the way to Bennington, then we would have lunch, and then we'd come all the way back, and he'd drop me off at his house. It goes back a long, long time. So, been good years, and it's always been good to have you here. We've always loved you.
Thank you, Sonny. I think Kayla wants to say something. Kayla, tall.
Yeah. So I remember going to Sabbath school on Saturday, and the very first thing we always did was we put a sticker on the board, like a smiley face, to see if we, like, how many days that we've gone and visited. And we were always, we always counted the days that we'd go, and we'd be like, oh, I was here the most, or oh, we were here most. And I always remember singing the songs and the little puppets and the people. That's probably my favorite part. And also the Christmas, the production that we put on, the little, the angels, and of course the story and everything, and that was always my favorite part. I just really enjoyed every weekend.
And you did it upstairs. That's what told us.
Yeah, we did, yeah. I think I was an angel when I did it. Oh, thanks.
Anyone else before we have our cake? Well, Thelma, you are very appreciated. Thank you so much for all you've done for the years for our church and other churches.
I love to do it.
I know you love to do it. It's very obvious you love to do it, and we're so happy that you do. And that you have done all this for us, for the children, in all the places where you've been, but especially here in Rutland. We all love you. Thank you so